Hi, I'm Clay Souza. I'm a wedding portrait photographer in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and you're watching 808 with Clay, where we go live every Monday and Wednesday at 8:08 p.m. Eastern Time to talk about photography. Must focus on lighting, composition, and posing. And tonight we're going to talk about composition. We also have our Instagram channel with the same name, Clay Souza Official, where I post every single day something about photography. So if you haven't done so, please subscribe to this channel here by hitting the subscribe button and also the bell button, so you'll know every time I upload new content to this channel. So we're here every Monday and Wednesday at 8:08 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, so let's get this going. So if you are here, if you're hopping from Instagram over here, let me know here in the chat that you're here, because I cannot see the names. I just know when you guys chat here with me. So just say hi, so I know that you are here. So and then let's get started. Let me see if there's anybody else on Instagram. All right, let's get it started. So tonight we're going to talk about composition. How how do we take advantage of what we have on the scene? Hey, Gabriel, how are you? How do we take advantage of elements that we have in our scene to create nice composition? Why is it important? Because, guys, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that if you want a different, if you want a desirable, if you want a unique, if you want an amazing photography, you have to be careful with those details. Little details here and there that makes a difference. Photography, a good photography from a great photography, it's not a whole lot of a difference. It is details, little details here and there that you can take care of it when you're shooting, instead of being removing stuff when you're doing Photoshop when you're doing post processing. Keep in mind, guys, we are photographers. We are not Photoshoppers. I usually say that I'm pretty versed in Lightroom and Photoshop, but I avoid as much as I can spending a whole lot of time in Lightroom or Photoshop. Why? Why is that? Because I want to be shooting, because I don't want to be spending time uh, uh, um, in Photoshop. No, we're not creating things in Photoshop. We just retouch and make our images better. That's what editing is for. It's not for, unless you're doing like composite, all of that type of work, which is fine, which is great. I know great photographers who work with composite and create some amazing images. Other than that, your editing should be focused on improving what you got out of the camera, right? So that's why when you're creating images, when you're looking at composition stuff, we need to be aware of everything that's going on. And a few examples that I can mention here right now that I can think of the top of my head are things like branches. Like, say you photograph somebody, there are a tree on the background and there are branches coming out of the person's head. So that's you know, you may look at it, I'll remove this in Photoshop, but you know what, yeah, it's work, and you don't really want to spend time in photoshopping when you can take care of all of this when you're composing, when you photographing. So pay attention to this, like branches or leaves that coming out of somebody's head, or one thing that's really common, two things that are really common with horizon lines that I see a lot when people send me images to be critiqued. One of them is like horizon lines cutting through the head of the subject, right? The subject's over here, and the horizon line is cutting through the head of the subject. That's a no-no. So the horizon line should always be lower than your subject head. You avoid cutting through here. You avoid cut through the neck. Chest line would be the best way if you can. Okay. Another thing with the horizon line is horizon lines that are not straight. The horizon line is crooked like this. That's a big pet peeve of mine. So get this image straight, because this is going to take time from your business, from you doing marketing, from you doing all of the other things that you need to do to run your business, because you didn't pay attention to it when you photographing, and you rely in Photoshop. And to be honest, sometimes some of us get lazy. I'll take care of that in Photoshop later, and that's just extra work that you don't have to do. Just a second. Oh, if you are on Instagram now, please go to YouTube. The live has started on YouTube. Live tonight on YouTube, youtube.com, claysouzaofficial. Okay, let's go to YouTube over there, guys. When you get to YouTube, send me a chat just so I know you're there. So back to composition. You also, I'm going to show you how to find elements in your, some examples of when I find elements in my image to create framing, to lock your viewer's eyes into the subject. Okay, so it's not like everywhere all the time that you have those things, but when you're photographing, look around you. One thing that I always advise people to do when you find a location, when you find a spot where you want to shoot, go over there, stop, take a deep breath, no rush, put your camera, put your gear down, and do a 360 degree. Turn around, do a 360 degree, and see what's behind you. Look at what's on your right, on your left, what's on the diagonals. Because sometimes we focus so much on a scene that we saw, a spot that we saw, that we know it's going to be a really cool image, and we don't look around. We go there and we shoot, and then we go to another location. When most of the time there's always going to be something there. What I say, go there and try to get as much as that scene as you can, so you're not having to go to location 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all that type of stuff. Okay, so and this is when you pay attention to everything that you have to pay attention to. Like I said, branches and leaves coming out of subject's head, horizon lines that are not straight, or horizon lines cutting through the head or cutting through the neck of your subjects. Okay, so I'm going to start showing you some images. If you have questions, do not hesitate, post them here on the chat, and I will address them. But before I start showing the images, let me check here Instagram and see if there's anybody there. Hey, if you are on Instagram, please go to YouTube. Our lives are now on YouTube, youtube.com, claysouzaofficial. It's right here, the address right here. Also, the address is in the bio up there. So hop on YouTube. Our lives are on YouTube now. And when you get to YouTube, send me a comment so I know you're there, okay? So let's look at some images. And I can exemplify what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm going to share. Let me see. Hold on. Where am I? Okay, let me see this. I cannot go full screen here, otherwise I'm going to lose my layers in Photoshop. All right, so let me put this down here. Let's go and oops. All right, so let's these images. Let me share my screen. Share screen. I'm going to share a window. All right, the first image that I want to share is this one here. This image is from a wedding that we did not long ago, I think a few weeks back. But I want to show you how, okay, a little bit background on the day of this wedding. This was an extremely windy day, and was a really rough wedding to shoot because the wind never stopped and was really strong. And the second challenge for this wedding was that the bride had a veil that was like 15 feet long. It was very long. And if you never worked with a veil that's that long, it's really hard to manage to fly the veil, because you fly the edge and the center caves a little bit. So that it took us a lot of time to get at least this image that you're seeing now. It turned out amazing, I think, but it took us a lot of time, more than usual time than we usually use for those type of images, right? What's up, Ronald? So I hope the sound is better there. I'm just saying this because Ronald said the sound last week was a little bit difficult to understand. I think I figured out what it was my camera settings, my sound levels were too high on the camera, so I have to lower them. And I tested today, and it sounds much better. So I hope the sound is better tonight than it was last week. So for this image now, as you can see here, we have the big veil coming through, but we're talking about composition, right? So I want to show you how I compose this image. So what I'm using those two trees on the background, kind of to frame them. Those two trees over here, I'm used to frame them, so they are in between the trees. And I'm gonna be 100% transparent with you. There was another branch that was coming out. Let me draw something. There was another branch over here that was coming out all the way through here, kind of thing, and cutting through her head. Yeah, there was a branch that was coming out all the way and cutting through her head. What I did was that one I had to remove in Photoshop because I was already shooting low. I couldn't go any lower, and I didn't want to move them to a little bit more camera right, because then I would lose the curve on the rail. The rail is kind of curved, right? It's a semicircle. I wanted to post them right in the center. So if I post them a little bit to the right, I would lose the center point of the image. So, and I looked at it and said, this is going to be easy to remove in Photoshop. And I did, because was cutting through her head, but that was the only thing that was done in Photoshop. So I used the two trees here to frame them, to give them a little bit of a frame, right? And another aspect of this image also is the horizon line. Look at the horizon line, how the horizon line is much, not this one. So this one can go away. Oops, what happened? Hold on. I think I deleted the wrong layer. It's this one here that I have to delete. All right, cool. So now you can see how the horizon line is cutting them on the chest, not cutting them on the head, not cutting them on the neck, but it's cutting them on the chest. Should be the right place for you to put your horizon line. So what you do, you shoot lower, right? Here I'm on my knees shooting that, actually to create that effect on the veil. And this is not Photoshop. This is what the image looked like. To create that effect on the veil, I had to shoot a little bit lower with the veil right point on my camera. So that's how we do this. So I have to be lower, which makes them higher than the horizon line. So, and this is the things that I'm telling you to pay attention when you are photographing, because once you put the horizon line over here, cutting through the head, right, like this, for instance, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you can extract them, make them taller, whatever, but that's going to be a lot of hours in Photoshop. And just paying attention when you're shooting. It's very simple. Just pay attention when you shoot, and you're not going to have to spend hours and hours in Photoshop, right? Do you guys have any questions? Thanks, Ronald. Sounds perfect. All right. Let me know if you have any questions about this, okay? So another picture from that very same wedding. This is for you guys to see how windy it was. Look at her hair moving. Look at the veil. Every time I have like a wind day and a bride with a long veil, I always try to do this type of the swatch image, right? I think this image looks really cool. I really, really like it. I like the effect of the veil. You get a little bit of blur. We get, the effect. And guys, this took us like 3 or 4 shots because the wind was so strong that, think about this. This is a 15-foot veil, okay? And the wind is blowing this veil all over, right? And I'm asking Danny, hold it here. And every time we would hold the veil, the veil would come out of her head, like it would just come off, like, whatever they did here, the makeup hair person did to keep the veil on wasn't strong enough to hold the veil because the wind was really strong. We got very lucky that day because the hair person was there throughout the whole wedding, and it was a guy, and he was there with us, and he saw that it came out one time, he put it back on, it came out twice, and he said, I need to get more bobby pins and stuff, and we ended up pin it again. But and that's how that's why how we create this image. We're able to create this image because the veil was the veil couldn't stay on our head. So, but here again, two things that I want to show you here. One is we again putting them a little bit lower than the horizon line. You can see like the horizon line is cutting them through the chest again because I'm shooting lower, so they go higher than the horizon line. I always also like to put their heads on against the sky. Here's what happened. If I have put him, let's say, let me create a layer here and do this. Let's say if I had put them here. Let's say if I had put them there, right? Right there. Okay. Number one, I have the horizon line cutting through the head here again, over here, right? And the second part is that he's wearing a dark jacket, right? He has a dark uniform, and that would make him blend too much with the background. So that's why I put them against the brightest part of the image, which is the sky, the sunset there, because they can pop a little bit more. Instead of here, if I had put them here or any other dark part of the image, I would have to light him from behind to make him stand out a little bit. Otherwise, he would get lost with the background. Okay, so those are the little things that you observe on a wedding day, because once you create this, especially if you're doing weddings, right, there's no do-over. So once you create this, this is what you have. And then if you don't pay attention to those little details, you have to be spending a lot of time in Photoshop fixing things that you could thanks Gabriel, appreciate it, man. um, you will spend a lot of time in Photoshop trying to fix things that it can be fixed on camera, on spot, so you don't have to go back to it. All right, let's look at another image. Yeah, this is a few years back. All right, you probably have seen this image before. I use this image a lot. There's a lot of really good components in it. This image is pretty much the rule of thirds, right? The rule of thirds is probably the most known compositional rule for photographers. It says that you split the images in thirds, and then you place your subject in one of the thirds. Preferably, it's not required, but preferably on the intersection of the lines, right? Oh, my connection. So if you are on Instagram now, please hop on YouTube. The lives happen on YouTube, youtube.com, claysouzaofficial. We already going on there. I'm waiting for you there. Just hop on there. You don't need to be logged in. Just go youtube.com, claysouzaofficial, and you're going to see the live button and just click on it. All right, rule of thirds. So here we put Kobe right there where the third meets, which is right here, right? Put him right there where the two lines intersect. Oops. Right. So this creates our eyes always like thirds and triangles, that type of stuff. That's why sometimes we put him the third. One of the important things when you're creating a rule of thirds is that whichever way your subject is looking at, let me see if I have a shape here. I don't know if I have on this computer. No, I don't. Whichever way your subject is looking at, this is where which the direction it should go. All right. So you should leave a negative space in front of your subject, not behind your subject, not here. But when you create the rule of thirds, you should always, I mean, not always, because those rules can be broken, right? But you should always prioritize negative space in front of your subject and not behind your subject, because that gives space to the eye to move through the scene instead of here. Okay, just pay attention to that. Again, like I said, all of this can be, all of those rules can be broken, but you need to understand the rule before you break them. All right, so there's another example here. Let me see if there's any comment here. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. Okay, another example here, another rule of thirds, not like 100% perfect, but really close. You can see that for this rule of thirds to be perfect, she should be around here, um, right? Her head should be around. Oh, what is it? Oh no, never mind, never mind, never mind. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Let's put a layer here. Her head should be around here where the two lines meet, right? That would be ideal, but I was already shooting a little bit lower than what I wanted. There was no way I could get her head over there, but still creating a rule of thirds there. Not perfect, but still on the third of the image. And you can see the dress is flowing where to the negative space, to the front of the subject. So she is really, what's happening here, the way we create this image, you get her to throw the dress and let her hand move, and she should looking where the dress is going to. So to create that effect, that the infinity effect that we have there. All right. So she's looking the same direction, the dress is flowing the same direction, and the negative space is on that side of the image. Okay. And this is the last image that I have for tonight. So again, wedding day ceremony, as you know, ceremony, we shooting photojournalistic style. We're just shooting through. We're not stopping. We're not posing. We're not doing any of that, right? We're just shooting through and showing moments. But what I always try to do is to find some elements on the scene where I can frame the subject. This one here, what I found this flower arrangement. This flower arrangement was far from me. I got the 7200, walked back, zoomed in, and tried to frame them inside the the little arch that the flower arrangement was creating. I also have something down here which is pretty much blurred, but as I point out, I'm going to show you. You guys will probably see this. This one here, right? So on the bottom here, what we also have a little bit there over here, right there, but it's a very thin branch, and it got blurred, almost doesn't show. But if it had shown, it would make almost a perfect circle around them. It would be really, really cool. But always looking for some elements in your scene where you can create this composition rules. What it does, guys, when you're looking at this, when you look at this image, what it does, it locks your viewer's eyes on the subject. So your eyes are not going anywhere. The first thing that you're going to see is the subject, because right now they are framed inside that semicircle that we see there. All right. So every time we see uh, uh, these little elements around the scene, take advantage of them, because they are very, very helpful as you create your composition, as you create your scenes. And as you strive to create a better picture, you have to have you have to train your eyes to start looking for this stuff, because think about this: a ceremony, 100 people in there, it was just like a flower arrangement that was there, right? But when I'm walking to the scene, I'm looking for spots, I'm looking for things, and I saw this at the very beginning, and then my mind was like, okay, I hope they stay right there where they're supposed to stay, because I'm going to be able to shoot through this thing and create, hopefully, going to create a good framing for that image. So when the ceremony, when the ceremony started, I already had that image in my mind, and being able to see the image before it's created is a great asset that you can have, because um, that way you know how you're gonna, if you're gonna pose, you know how you're gonna pose. If you're gonna light, you know how you're gonna light. I've said this a few times here in this channel, that it's really cool when try always to try to always see the image ready, finalize in your mind before you shoot, because that is going to get you better image, because now you know everything you need to do to create that image. All right, does it make sense? Do you guys have any questions for me? What time is it? 8:38. I'm going to finish early today, finally. I'm trying to finish early for month and month and month. Just keep talking. um Do you guys have any questions today about composition? Any struggles? Anything that you guys are finding difficult with your compositions? How to get better, or is these all things that you guys already know and apply in your photography? Let me know here in the comments. What do you think about those tips? If they're helpful or not? Hot day here in North Carolina today. All right, cool. Well, I think that's all I have to say tonight. Again, thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you guys so much for being here every week in and out with me, participating. I hope the sound tonight is a little bit better than last week. I apologize for last week. I fixed. Hopefully I fixed it today, because when I'm speaking, I don't know what the sounds like on the other side. Um, I just know when I download and listen to it, and like, oh crap, the sound was horrible. But I think I had my sound levels on the camera a little bit too high. Um, but I think this is the way it should be. I actually bought another camera, so we're not gonna have to move that camera anymore. The camera is gonna stay right there. And so you don't have to mess with settings, anything anymore. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate each one. Sounds awesome. See you on Wednesday. All right, Jeff. Good. Thanks, Gabriel. Thanks, Jeff, and thanks, Ronald, for pointing out the sound last week. Otherwise I would never know. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you on Wednesday. And this live is going to be available on YouTube in a few minutes. If you guys want to check it, I'm just going to edit the first part of it before we start, and you go from there. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye bye.